And this woman was trans when I met her. Lived in San Francisco. Daphne Dworman is her name. I would do 18 shows in the Bay Area, sometimes in Oakland and Dirty Hood nightclub, and she would be there, a white trans woman, laughing loud and hard at everything I said, especially the trans jokes. It's very puzzling because she was obviously trans. And one night after one of the shows, I met her. And what it was, turns out, it was her dream to be a comedian. And I was her hero. It's very moving. I could not dislike somebody that felt that way about me. We became fast friends. And when I made that special Sticks and Stones, right as it was coming out, I happened to be in San Francisco and I wanted to do a show, but I needed an opening act. And I remembered that trans woman I had met. So I called her on the phone. And I called her myself. I said, "Hey, Daphne, this is Dave Chapelle." She couldn't believe it. And I go, "I'm in San Francisco." And then she started saying a bunch of wild stuff. I was like, "Relax now. I don't want any pussy." I was, I was calling because I'm doing a show and I need an opening act. And I was wondering if you'd open the show. And she was like, "Fuck yeah." Now, I didn't know this at the time.
Hello, you guys. Jeremy Brown is back here again, and today's topic is Dave Chapelle. Now, we all know Dave Chapelle epic rant about the trans community, the LGBTQ community, and on his stand-up, he mentioned a friend of his that he met a long time ago back in his younger days that committed suicide. And at the time of watching it, we all cheered for Dave Chapelle. It was commendable. It was brave, all of that. Until today, I was listening to it again, and I got to thinking, why was Dave hanging out with a transsexual back then? Like, back then, hanging out with a trans person, you couldn't take that trans person around your straight friends. You can't even take them around your straight friends today, but especially back then. So it had me wondering, like, what type of relationship did they have? Was it in a closet relationship? Or did he just not care? Because he said he brought Debbie on the to open up for him after she came to one of his shows and was just laughing at all of the trans jokes. And he said he brought her backstage and they became close friends and blase, blase. But what we know about the comedy industry, it's a lot of fruitcakes in there. Your Richard Pryors, is so many rumors that came out about him, and he even admitted it himself. From Tyler Perry, they even put Kevin Hart in a dress. So the comedy industry is kind of like what's really going on down there. Dave Chapelle hanging out with a transgender back then should have broke the airwaves. Because that's not what you do. Somebody would have caught it, right? Nobody catches it. Nobody, the paparazzi doesn't show up at his place or show up while they hanging out, because somebody was seen it. It would have been rumors out there, but we didn't hear nothing about this transgender best friend of his that apparently everybody else in the industry knew too, because this transgender dude was hanging around him and his friends, his industry friends, And let's not act like he was a revolutionary man, because he wasn't. Remember the Dave Chappelle show where he portrayed a black dude as Tyrone as a crackhead and a news anchor as a white guy, and he played both characters. So the respectable news anchor was a white guy and the crackhead was a black guy. Look at the imagery. And he said he left Hollywood because they were trying to make him put up negative images on his show. And he was already doing it. He was already doing it at will. So him going to Africa and coming back and still getting the 50 million, he been sold out. He wasn't the black people champ. Black people didn't put him up there. He was corny to us. He would have never made it. This is the image. This ain't Dave Chapelle, the revolutionary. That's an image that he's putting out there to the world. And in his comedy, he's telling you the truth. Why in the hell you was hanging out with a transgender back then? So you were just all inclusive. Not that I'm saying there's something terribly wrong with it, but as a straight man, that became your friend. That's the dude that you decide to come up to open up for you. A nigga you just met in San Francisco. Is Dave Chappelle living a double life like most of these mainstream fake folklords? Like, it just don't make any sense. I can't see a scenario where a full-blown straight man is doing all of this with a transgender person. Now we know transgenders wasn't accepted like they are nowadays. We still don't really accept them nowadays, but they really was, like, they was scary. And he walking around with this man girl. How do that look? How would that look? That would have ruined his career. He had to do that in the closet. He had to. Because that would have blew his whole career, blew his whole cover. One picture. But in Hollywood, that put you on. That's the type of stuff that put you on. They probably loved seeing him with that transgender. Oh, Dave Chappelle is about that. He on that type of time. Let's put him in all these movies. Let's push him to the public. He went from a weed head to an activist. How you do that? How you go from I'm a weed head, crackhead, I'm gonna portray all these bad images about black people to an activist? I don't know. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. I'm out.